Welcome to this episode of the Women in Finance and Investment Network Spotlight Series. The Women in Finance and Investment Network is an organization that is designed to accelerate the career progression of women in the finance and investment network. And the Spotlight Series happens to be one of our mini series that is designed to help motivate and inspire the next generation of female leaders in the finance and investment management industry. My name is G.D.P Anan, and I am the country representative for WIFIN in Ghana. Great. I want to say thank you so much for joining us today. We're going to have a much enlightening interview this morning. About half a decade ago, way back in 2015, I chanced on an article written by APS, the Association of Psychological Science, that read, from the floor of the US Senator to, the audition for orchestras, researchers have found that men are often seen as competent and powerful for talking, whilst women are more harshly criticized, more frequently backlashed and interrupted, and judged as less competent for showing the same behavior. In 2020, just when the COVID-19 pandemic swept in and made remote working our new normal, CNBC reported, and I read, 45% of women business leaders say it's difficult for women to speak up in a virtual meeting. Truth is, the numbers do not lie, and here we have it in our faces. The big question is, do women or should women lay low or stand tall with our chest out? This conversation is likely going to be tricky, and I would advise that you sit tight and enjoy this bumpy ride. Walking us through this interview or this conversation today is the ever remarkable Adebola, an enthusiastic female leader who is relevantly preoccupied with building well-rounded leaders with a changed mindset, willing and passionate about creating positive change in their society and in their nation at large through integrated value creation. She is the founder of the Gold Digger Professional Network, a community of professionals committed to lifelong learning, applying and growing, and also making a difference at the workplace. Adebola, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
And I must say that
you stop here. Can you hear me loud and clear?
I can hear you. It's okay.
Great.
All right. So thank you so much for joining me for this conversation about women. And today our topic is speaking up, accelerating women's career progression. That is the topic we are dealing with. And I'm very positive that today's topic is going to be very, very enlightening, because a lot of people would want to hear about it. We've seen women cower and not speak up for so many reasons. And here we go. So first of all, I would like that you tell us how your growing up was, how you grew up in Nigeria, your childhood experiences, educational background, and how it affected your career trajectory.
Thank you, Gifty. Once again, I'm happy to be here today. And I'm happy that I finally found time for this. It's so interesting, planning for this and making it work. Okay, so my background is the typical, nothing jumps out, typical large family in Nigeria. I'm the first daughter, and I think that sort of built my, sense of responsibility. I just felt like the small mommy of the house at that time, and I would take care of my siblings. I would, act, like they're small mommy, but I started feeling responsible for them at that point, and I would also say that my educational background, I went to a military school, that also shaped me largely. I went to Command Secondary School. And it was
interesting.
It was the boarding school. And I think that's defined my level of discipline. If you see anyone that has been to command or any military school, you know, the approach to things are quite different. You know, okay. And they're very good when it comes to execution. I've met a couple, and you know, it's about discipline, it's about execution thing and doing, you know, what needs to be done. So for me, I built my sense of discipline when I was in my secondary school. And I tell people my own definition of discipline is doing what needs to be done, whether or not it is convenient. So yeah, so basically that's what I would say about my background, childhood background and educational background, and how it has affected, you know, or how it has impacted on my career.
Oh, great. That's exciting to know. What genuinely drives your passion, and how did you make that useful in creating your desired progress?
I think to put it simply, what drives my passion is the desire to do more, knowing always there is room for improvement, you know, to do more, to be more, and then to also inspire people to be more and to always do more. Because again, there is always room for growth. And the question I ask myself always is, what else can I do to make myself better? What else needs to be done? So that basically drives me. That basically gives me that, you know, boost to keep going. So largely, that's it. That's it for me.
That's great. I mean, being Nigerian, I want to take this question from a societal context. What is actually the degree of acceptance associated with women's willingness and ability to speak up in both the corporate setting and domestic setting in Nigeria?
Well, this for me, I would say it's a number of factors. Women speaking up in corporate settings, if you ask me to put a percentage to it, I would probably just say it is very low. It used to be very low, but I see now that the narratives are changing. Women are becoming more bold. You know, they are speaking up more than ever. And this applies even to domestic settings. You know, women are beginning to see that they have a voice and they have an opinion. But do you think that there is room for improvement? Absolutely. You know, you're still in some environments, and then you find women, you know, not speaking up enough. So yeah, and then if you ask what's the major reason is, I would say, you know, this is maybe fear of being judged, you know, fear of being judged, fear of being, you know, seen as not enough, or maybe they are, whatever idea they're bringing to the table wouldn't be accepted. But you see, there are some women that have basically inspired me, and I would say that they've risen to the occasion. I see women like Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, I see Dr. Obi Ezekwesili, I see Chimamanda, you know, I see Dr. Shola Shobamimo, I don't know if you know her, she's a lawyer and women's rights activist. You know, I see these people speaking and living their beliefs, and they inspire me. So basically, I would say we don't speak up for fear of being judged, and sometimes it's also the fear of being questioned about our, you know, our right at the table, you know, why we are at the table in the first place. So that's what I think is contributing to us not, you know, coming up to say exactly what we think about the situation or what we think about the topic.
Great. I see. Yeah, the likes of the Chimamandas, the Ngozi, Riala, it's amazing to see them speak up wherever they are. And indeed, they're changing the narratives. Once Robin Sharma said something, he made mention of the fact that leaders, you know, talk less and they do more. Now, that brings me to the question. Have you ever okay, found your speaking self conflicted with your execution self? And I'll add another question. What is the place of speaking in the execution pipeline? What is the place of speaking in the execution pipeline?
I would address it in two folds. And the first one is the personal one, which is, have I ever been conflicted with what I think or what I say and what I do?
Yeah.
I'll tell you something, which is to give an answer, it's a no.
Oh,
it's a no. And that's largely because I also think this has to do with my upbringing. My dad is somebody that says it as it is. And I think I got that from him.
Okay.
And it's not about, it's authenticity. It is you saying something and then it's walking the talk, basically. It's not about saying something and then doing something, differently. So that's how I would respond to that. And then I would also say that really, it's okay to do the talk, because you ask the question, how does this fit into the execution pipeline? Yeah. It's okay to do the talk. I honestly don't have a problem with you saying the things you want to do, but I have a problem when you don't do it. You have to execute. It's always, and for me, I tag myself execution mama, because the strategy is good. You can have all the ideas, but if you don't, roll up your sleeves and move your muscles, nothing will be done. So you find people say a lot of things, but you want to be able to balance this with what they also do.
Oh, that's great. And so Adebola just tagged herself as the execution mama. She's the one that walks the talk all the time. Okay, that's great. Great to know. I want to know, from your clever observations and your personal experience, what normally accounts for women being, reticent in the workplace, let's say, irrespective of their roles. It doesn't matter whether they are in the boardrooms, because I've read many articles that have pointed out the fact that certain women in the boardroom still find it difficult to speak up. Could it be because of reprisals? Could it be because, of a sense of futility? Or because the ideas are not heard, the things that they propose, they are not credited for those things?
Thank you. So like I said before, I think, and this is my own personal belief, I think it is always the fear of losing the seats at the table. Some women sometimes count their getting a seat at the table as luck, and even though they have merited the seats, they still have that imposter syndrome that says, am I really supposed to be here? Do I really deserve the seats? How did I even get here? And they are waiting to be caught at some point to say, oh, no, sorry, you're not supposed to be in this room. So I personally believe that it's the fear of losing the seat, and or a fear of, losing the seat as a result of speaking their truth. And I remember a friend once mentioned it to me, Adebola, it is diplomacy, it's diplomacy. You have to know, And for me, I think that's our problem when we see the real issue, but we shy away from it because you don't want to be the lone voice, or you don't also want people to think that, that's all there is to you, so that's all your idea. And the idea may be very valid, but because you're not coming out to say it, you just align with everything that has been said. And it's not just women, to be honest with you, it's not just women. I think some men are also in this ring. They have a contrary opinion about something, but they would rather please the leader of the table by aligning to all the ideas on ground. So yeah, while I think that, it's most common with women, I think it's a general thing. When you're too attached to the seat you're sitting on, and then you rather color the truth, or rather just not speak at all, just so you don't come off as being, not aligning to the leader. That's what I would say.
Thank you so much. At this point, I want to inform our audience that Adebola happens to be the author of the best-selling book on career and life strategies on Clip Your Wings. And so you would want to search for that book, get it for yourself, and then feed on its content. Because for the women out there, all those trying to find their voice, authenticate their voice and use it, I think it's about time we start reading certain things that will get us out there. Back to you, Adebola. Sheryl Sandberg, the CEO of Facebook, and Adam Grant both made an observation that I find very intriguing. They said that if a woman speaks in a professional setting, she walks a tightrope. It's either she's barely heard or she's judged as being too aggressive. I want to know, what exactly has speaking up cost you? Have you lost anything because you decided to speak up? Okay. Number two, I also asked the question, what is the greatest advantage you have had for speaking up? So these two things.
Okay, thank you. I must say I'm a very big fan of Sheryl Sandberg and Adam Grant.
Interesting.
Yeah, I've read Lenin, I've read Option B.
Oh, great.
Yeah, and I like messages, she delivers matter of factly. Yeah. And yeah, she's right. Sometimes women are seen as too aggressive, and there's also a flip to it. Sometimes they're seen as too emotional, and I believe all this is just to, discount sometimes what we have to say, and then strip it of its importance. And I must say that sometimes also this is not done with a malicious intent, but it comes across that way to us. That's the way it comes when we are being, referred to as being aggressive, and then you're thinking, should I tone it down a little bit? Or when they tell us we're too emotional, we're asking, should I tone it up a little bit? Again, all these comments, can prevent a woman from talking or from speaking up. And if you ask, what has speaking up cost me? To be honest with you, it has never costed me something that I cannot afford.
Ooh, I love that.
It hasn't. I think while speaking up may be termed aggressive in some environments, it is very much welcome in others. And I believe that's how we learn. That's how, the diversity in thoughts and opinion, helps us to reach the best possible option. So for me, I would say it as it comes to me, and of course, without fear of it costing me anything. And like I said, to be honest, it has never costed me something that I cannot afford. And if you ask me what my greatest advantage is, I think it is always clear where I stand. I won't sit on the fence. I don't even have the skill of sitting on the fence or speaking from both sides of my mouth. I lack that skill, So it's, for me, you would always know where I stand. I remember at a time, one of our directors said, the MD mentioned that if you want to know exactly what has happened, speak with Adebola. For me, that's a positive, that's a real positive, because then, it is known that, I would always, be straight, and I would always give it exactly as it is. If it's a green, it's a green. If it's a red, it's a red. I don't have to color it all green just so that I can, impress, or because again, then we don't go out looking for solutions. So that's how I will address that question.
I love the way you said it. She said that, speaking up has not cost her anything she cannot afford. Ladies, you just should know, speaking up will not cost you anything you cannot afford. We would always be able to afford the things that speaking up will cost us. That's also brought so many advantages to her. Now to solutions. The fact that speaking up is good and it must be done. You cannot be in a place and not air your opinions. It's tantamount to losing yourself in a particular place, and you're not able to give, the full capacity of what you can do to your organization. And so you do much disservice to your organization when you decide not to speak up. Now, the question is, what are the tools needed to critique a silencing culture in the workplace? Because The truth is, there are organizations that are, have a culture of silence. And I also want to ask, what is the role of our male professionals in this journey? Should I take that again, or you got it?
Yes, I think I lost you for a sec. Yeah.
You lost me for a second. Okay. So the main question I'm asking is just two in one question. I'm asking that what are the tools needed to critique a silencing culture? And then again, we want to know what the role of male professionals are in this journey.
Okay. I think I would say that the workplace should encourage speaking up, should encourage it, and should reward it. So like I was saying the other time, it's not about you showing a positive variance. Let's be bold to also call out what is not working. So if you are in a meeting and then you have, because I think sometimes also it is about us always wanting, to look good. Always, we want to be in the good books all the time. So I would say for organizations, they should encourage speaking up. They should encourage, putting the smelly fish on the table. And for the culture to also be ingrained, I think the organization or the workplace can also verbalize this. We should verbalize it. We should, for example, I'll give you one of the disadvantages of wanting everything to look green, wanting everything to look good. While I like the idea of, recording and celebrating zero safety at work, it could also lead to covering up issues, and it's a little worse for women who are trying to convince their male counterparts and the rest of the world that they deserve a seat on the table. So when it's a red, they basically just not say, they basically just not hear their opinion. So we should build a culture that encourages people to speak up. We don't have to always create that facade that everything, is perfect. And then women also should also take this, opportunity to know that, they deserve whatever they have, and it's okay for everything not to be 100%. It's okay to say, you know what, this is not working as I planned, and these are the corrective measures. And I would also say that there should be, consequence management for retaliation and shutdowns. Sometimes I think some people do it out of impulse. You open up your mouth to say something and they just said, oh, that has been done already. We did that last year, basically saying that that opinion doesn't count.
Doesn't count, yeah.
That there should be something that, prevents people from, you don't just move on with the meeting like nothing has happened. Somebody has to speak to the person to say, you know what, don't let her give her opinion, and then you can have your own opinion later. It's not, shut it down, immediately. So that's what I would say. I remember at a time when, I was the BPMS manager, that's business performance manager for an organization, and I was reporting into the MD. So I would sit with the director. So I doubled as the executive assistant to the MD as well. So I'll sit in meetings with the directors. Of course, I would be the most junior in the meeting room, and I wouldn't say anything. And the MD would take everybody's opinion, but he would call me and say, Adebola, what do you think? For me, it matters. Even though I was the most, he still believes that I could add something. And trust me, while they were all speaking, my opinion was, what I wanted to say was inside me, but I felt, if I open my mouth, somebody would say, even you, something like that. But he would always encourage that, say, what do you think? And for me, that also helps me open up more and say my opinion. And of course, sometimes I say it and somebody is saying, oh, we've done it before. Oh, it didn't work when we did it. That would always come. But I think we should have, some sort of meeting rules to say, allow people to speak freely. Don't condemn, pass your own points. don't condemn or don't react to, what somebody else has said. Let's put all the points together first, and then we can start saving to say, does this idea work now? Will it work next year? Because you may have done it before and your execution was wrong at that time. And now with the right execution, you might have the results that you seek. So, I think largely it is encouraging speak-ups, and also, there has to be some level of, discussing with people about not shunning others in the meeting, especially women.
Great. I think that's a very good point, well noted. I would also want to know, within the Women in Finance and Investment Network, we are actually very particular about diversity and inclusion, because, like I always say, the numbers do not lie, that there is an underrepresentation of women in the finance and investment management industry. And so anytime we get the opportunity to talk to people, we ask this very question: what is your take on diversity and inclusion in the workplace?
I think we should never stop talking about it. Okay. It is not, we cannot overemphasize it. Okay. Because regardless of, who you are, what you do for the business, you should feel equally involved, irrespective of what you do, irrespective of what level or what cadre you are, irrespective of your sex, irrespective of your race, your religion. For you to be there, you are very important. And if you are there, you have to also feel valued. So, like I said, we cannot overemphasize it. It is something that we we have to continuously talk about. And it's not just about talking about it. You have to walk the talk. It is important. You have to walk the talk. It's not a lot of people. I see a lot of people. They know what needs to be done. They talk about it. They scream about it. But when it gets to doing it, you find that conflict. So yeah, that's my take. It's not. I know some people are already, when they talk diversity and inclusion, they peg it only to the sex part. No, it's about race. It's about religion. It's about a lot of things. And also we have to understand that, that diversity helps when it comes to making solid quality decisions.
Great. Just before I hit you with our last question, I want you to tell us exactly what you do. What is it that you do? Who is Adebola? What do you do? What do you work? Yeah, just fill us in with that information.
Okay, so I am Adebola Idowu, you all know already. And I work with a dairy company, one of the top dairy companies in Nigeria. I work as a controller, finance controller.
Well, that's what
I like
money
my job.
is.
Yeah, I like my job. I have finance background, and I have strategy execution background as well. And I like the fusion of finance and strategy, making quality decisions, and also, providing financial leadership and guidance to the business. And on the other side, because I have, a passion for growing leaders, a passion for, encouraging people to live their full potentials. So I started, I think 5 years ago, a professional network where we all come together, we learn, we leverage each other's experiences, skills, networks, and we've had people come to give positive feedback about, some of our conferences, some of our events, and basically this is just for us all to live to our full potential in career and ultimately life. And yeah, I'm an author. I wrote a book. I basically shared my experiences, what has worked for me in career. I put this down because I also feel that when people start their career, it's like, a gray zone. They don't know what to expect. They don't know how to act. And this is just for them to have a guide, to say. And one of the things I also talked about in the book is speaking up. It is important to speak up. It is important to always lend the authentic voice of yours. And yeah, that's me in a nutshell. And I'm married with 4 boys. and they keep me really busy. So that's me in a nutshell.
Ooh, that's like a strong woman married with 4 boys. That alone can be a conversation, that alone, how you manage to balance these things. But we would want to take your final words. If anybody listening to you at this point has finally resolved to speak up, how should that person go about finding their voice, owning it, and then using it? Yeah.
I think one thing I tell people all the time, and I say this all the time because I've seen people say, come to me to say, I cannot, say exactly what I mean for fear of, losing my job or, something. And my advice to them always is personal development. You can never go wrong with developing yourself. You can never go wrong with investing in yourself. You can never go wrong with, taking care of your mind and building yourself as a person, as an individual. Because again, it is always not about the environment. It starts first from you. So I tell people, and that was why I said it the other time, that if an organization doesn't value speaking up, there are other organizations that would place a lot of importance on it. So you are never stuck. That's what I say. You're never stuck somewhere. If something is not working, you fix it. So you can only take that decision to fix what is not working if you've developed yourself enough and you can also give value. There has to be some value to you. There is something you know how to do well that people are asking for. It is important, very important, to develop yourself professionally, develop yourself personally, and then it makes decision making easy for you. And then it comes with confidence, and confidence stems from knowledge. Once you are able to give something, once you know that, I'm a value machine, once you know that wherever I am, whatever is attached to me has to work. It has to always work. When you are confident that you're that kind of person, you're bold enough to speak up at meetings. You're bold enough to say how you feel. And you see, one thing I also say is sometimes, nothing will be given to you on a platter. It doesn't. You have to take some things yourself. So don't expect that everybody would always call on you to share your opinion. They won't always say, "Oh, Adebola, speak up." Yinka, speak up. It won't always come. So you have to speak up by yourself. You don't need to be encouraged. You have to speak up by yourself. And there is no idea that is stupid. And I always tell young professionals as well, when you're in a meeting, try to say something. Is it that you're asking a question, or you're contributing, or you're corroborating? Your voice has to be registered in that meeting. When you're starting your career, it is important. You can ask questions. Your voice has to be registered. You don't just, go in quietly, come out quiet. Of course, when you get a certain level, if it doesn't concern you, maybe. But when you're starting your career, even if it is a question, ask. Just say, sorry, I have a clarifying question, or can you shed more light on? But your voice has to be registered. Ooh. It is important.
Wow. So to all the emerging finance and investment professionals, there you have it. Adebola says that do not leave the room, whatever room it is, whatever meeting you attend, do not leave the place without registering your voice. That is a strong message. I think that's for me is the highlight of our interview this morning. Never leave a room without registering your voice. Adebola Idowu, we want to say a very big thank you on behalf of the Women in Finance and Investment Network. We want to say a very, very, very big thank you, making the time and then spending this morning with us just to be able to encourage and inspire emerging professionals out there. We do not in any way take this opportunity lightly at all. I want to say that we would want to have you on again and again and again and again. And to our audience, I want to say thank you so much. We hope that you have learned so much and you have gleaned so much insights from this finance controller. She actually controls the finance of one of the biggest dairies in Nigeria. And so we are going to come for her. And if you want to be like Adebola, you want to be a woman leader, you want to climb up to the zenith of your profession, listen, it's about time you speak up. Let me finally end by saying that once again, she is the author of the best-selling book, Clip Your Wings, where she clearly stated that she has also designated a portion to speaking up. Please get the book and then feed on its content. I think wherever we are, let's just keep making it happen. Until we come your way again with the next interview, let's keep going and let's keep making things happen. Thank you, Adebola.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Gifty. Thank you very much.